Siman Vav of the Shulchan Aruch Harav deals with the laws of the two brachot, Asher Yatzar and Elokai Neshama. In Halacha Vav, the Alter Rebbe writes that Kol HaBrachot Potachim Bebaruch. All brachot begin with the words Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech HaOlam. Chutz, except for Mibracha Hasmucha L'chaverta, loosely translated as a bracha that is joined to an earlier bracha, and goes on to cite an example from the tefillah, namely the two brachot that precede the mitzvah of Kriyat Shema, where the second bracha, Ahava Rabbah, does not begin with a Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech HaOlam. A more prominent example would be the many brachot in the Shmona Esrei, such as the bracha of Atachonein, Hashivenu Avinu, Slach Lanu Avinu, Re'ena B'Anyenu, where the rule of bracha Hasmucha L'chaverta is applied, and none of these brachot open with a Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech HaOlam. In a similar vein, the two brachot of Asher Yatzar and Elokai Neshama, while both ending with a Baruch Atah Hashem, the bracha of Elokai Neshama does not begin with a Baruch Atah Hashem, relying on the concept of bracha Hasmucha L'chaverta. We have talked about the three components to this bracha of Elokai Neshama. Part 1 deals with the journey of the Neshama from Gan Eden, in which it was in a state of Tahara, descending into a physical body. The second, a realization that at some point in time the Neshama will leave the body, a process that we call death, and the faith statement that at some point in time after death that Neshama will be returned to the body. This referred to as Tchiyat HaMetim. Part 3, the acknowledgement and expression of thanks to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, our God, God of our Father, Master over the Ma'asim, and Lord over the Neshamot. Which brings us to part 4, the concluding bracha, Baruch Atah Hashem, Hamachazir Neshamot L'Pegarim Meitim. Unpacking this final bracha, we have the combined noun verb, Hamachazir, Chet Zayin Reish, which we've had earlier in the bracha. Chet Zayin Reish is to turn, go around, do again, repeat, regret, retract. In this context, to return. Blessed art you, Hashem, who returns the neshamot, lamed prefix to, and here we will get into some difficulties. God returns the neshamot to pegarim meitim. A met is someone or something that is dead. Pegarim are corpses, also something that is dead. Koran translates the Pegarim Meitim as returning the Neshamot to lifeless bodies. The Tehillat Hashem from Chabad, God returns the Neshamot into dead bodies. The RCA, Centrist Orthodox, returns Neshamot into the dead. Obviously, all three had to move away from a literal translation of each of these two words. We noted in the previous panel that whenever there's a concluding bracha, as a general rule, it draws attention to the main theme of a bracha that has many components. This bracha has three major components: the journey of the neshama, Tchiyat HaMetim, and an acknowledgement to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Given the text of the final bracha, Hamachazir Neshamot L'Pegarim Meitim, I would argue that the thrust of this Elokai Neshama bracha is the topic of Tchiyat HaMetim. There are, and have always been, groups that have tended to break away from halachic Judaism. In all three major revisions of the Reform Siddur, there is the Elokai Neshama bracha. A core principle of Orthodox Judaism is revelation. A core principle of Reform Judaism is the rejection of Tchiyat HaMetim. Worth exploring is how the Reform Siddur deals with the bracha of Elokai Neshama.